Okay, I'm back again, and now I'm going to do the second layer of brown. It's a dark brown, and I don't want it too dark, so I'm going to barely mark areas, and then when I get the water, I'll bring the water down to make it a light brown. And it is called the Derwent, which is the brand name, but it's Graphitint. Chestnut number 13. So that's what that's what I'm using. And I'll have a list of supplies at the end of the videos. So if anyone wanted to follow along, they can. Sharpen that a little more. Okay, so now I'm going to do, it's still her flesh areas, but it's a little bit in the dark, make it a little bit darker. So I'm just going to do a little bit at the hairline, because then I'm going to get my paintbrush and add water to it and make it come down. So I don't want it too dark, but it is darker near the hair. So we're doing that. Now the ear, there's an area here where the ear is more shallow. Goes inward. There's hair there, but I'm just ignoring the hair, like the hair's not there. I can add hair later. So there's that. That was pretty fast and easy. And then we're going to do a little bit of darkness here. This will just make it more of a flesh tone instead of just pale, pale peach. Okay, we'll leave that one that color. Okay, this is very dark right here. So I'm putting a little more pressure, a little more pencil lead on there. And it comes down. Okay, and then just a little bit of a line here and here. And it's shadowed here because of her hair. Okay, I think that's good for that. I think I will go ahead and put, this looks like there is brown in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do this brown. Later I'll add some grays and red, but right now I think we'll do it brown. Because looking at it now, it looks kind of dark brown. Again, I'm going to make sure I don't get it on those teeth. I want to keep them white. Okay. And it is better, like I said, to build up, slowly get it dark instead of starting out with really dark. That doesn't look very good. Okay. Like this area is going to be black, but right now I'm going to do it brown. And it won't be an extremely dark brown either. Okay. This is really dark, so I'm going to definitely put more lead in here. And hopefully when I do black later and gray, it won't wash everything off, because it tends to do that. But we're starting building up shadow and light to distinguish depth instead of having it just be a flat, two-dimensional drawing. We want it to have depth to it, so we'll just lighten that. Okay, and then this has some dark here, kind of dark here. And I'm trying to stay pretty close to the lines, being real accurate. I want it to look very much like the photo, because the photo is just adorable. Okay, now she has, it's like, well, I'll do a little brown here because of her teeth. Let's do some divisions where her teeth are. A little bit here, here, and here. A lot of it's going to be pink, but there's kind of some darkness that outlines these teeth. I'm trying to be really careful, and I don't want to do too much, because I don't want it to be a dark color. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now, what I want is, I'm trying to think. I think I'll wait on that. Okay. Oh yeah, her neck. So now her neck is darker, closer to her face. So I'm making a solid line, and then we're going to go out from there. There's a shadow bit right here on her neck. And then I'm going to fade it out, because it's kind of light. kind of light right there. So you kind of color in how you think it would look with colored pencils, and then when you add water, you just keep looking at your reference and make sure you're not going too far with it. Now there's a bit of a shadow here under where her strap is, so we'll add some color there. I might leave the rest alone. I really don't want it too dark on her neck. Okay, let's see, do I want darkness on her eye? I'm debating. I don't think so. I think I'll do gray later. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so now I'm going to get my pencil again. Pencil. Sorry about that. Get my paintbrush. And we're going to start blending. Let me see if you can see this. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to add the water and see how it's looking kind of fleshy pink. I might even want to add more. I just didn't want to go overboard with it. Because her skin is really light here. Okay, I'm going to kind of bring it down. So what I'm doing is I'm starting at the edge and bringing the color down. And it doesn't look like much, so I might go back later. I'll decide later. And then this is a little bit darker here. See how that's a line? I don't want a line there. So I'm going to add some water and soften it. And then that's a nice soft look there. Again, these are really light colors, but it is really light. You don't want it too dark on her. Okay, this I have to be careful because I want that line to be straight. I don't want watercolor to blend into that. Okay, I'm just going to soften that a little bit. There's another darker color I'm going to use, so even though that's not as dark as I want to on the ear, that's okay. Okay, then it's a little bit darker right here. And darker here. Fades up. A little bit of color there. All right, now we're going to do her neck. This is the dark shadow here. I'm going to kind of leave that as a line. I'm not going to try to blend that in too much. Now all of this I do want blended in. I don't want there to be a distinct line here. So right now, I'm just getting it wet. And then I'm going to come back. Okay, so I'm cleaning my brush. I've got a semi-wet, semi-dry brush that I'm going to start blending all this in. Again, that's a little too much, so I'm going to dry my paintbrush off, and I'm just going to kind of feather this. I've got water on it, and I'm just going to kind of feather this out. So there's not a distinct line. There's kind of some lines going on here, so I'm going to add some water. Oh, that's too much water. When you see a drop on your paintbrush, you know you've got too much water. Okay. I think I like where that's going. I might leave that. Because again, I'm going to add some gray to make more shadow. This is just to get some of the flesh color, like it's flesh. Okay, I think now we'll do a pause again. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do the mouth. What am I doing? I gotta do the inside of her mouth. This doesn't matter as far as the color, because it is going to be black later. But like I said, I just want to get some color on here. And it's nice to use the same colors you've been using because it all blends in. Like if I use a whole different brown or something totally different, it won't look so natural. Okay, it's really dark here. That's where her gum line is there. But that tooth hasn't formed because she's a little girl. Okay. And it looks a little choppy, but it doesn't matter because this is just the first layer. Okay. All right, let me add a little more water and do under here, hit the teeth line. the teeth line. I don't know if that's a word. You know what I meant. Okay. I'm going to add pink later, but right now, that's a little bit darker there. Okay. Now I'm going to pause it and let that all dry. Okay, I'm back. I think it's dried enough that I'm going to do the next color. And the next color I'm going to use is the Derwent watercolor, and it's Burnt Umber number 54. So I'm basically doing almost the same color, same areas that I had done before, but making it a little bit darker, just a little bit. There's kind of a shadowy here where her skin meets the white. So I'm gonna put a little bit of pencil there. Okay, so then in her ear, it's a lot darker here. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure down, so there's more lead going on in here. This isn't too important because there's gonna be hair over it, but it needs to look somewhat like it's supposed to. This is really dark here, so I'm putting more lead on this. Okay, and up here, same thing. We're going to do a little bit darker right at the hairline. It doesn't show that much darker on this, but I just like to do that. Okay, now here, again, it's a shadow. We'll do some brown at the top, but not at the bottom because we want it to fade away. And I'm going to do a little bit more on this because this, I think I want it a little bit darker. But I'm not going to color the whole thing because I'm going to let the water spread it out where I want it. There's kind of some lines here, but when I use the wash, it'll wash away. Okay, now I'm going to come in dark here because this is still kind of a brown color. I'll add some pink later, but this really is kind of a darker brown with all the shadows. Makes it a really nice dark color. Almost black, actually. I'm going to shape that tooth there. Oh, and that's what I was going to show you too. When you do color watercolor pencils, what they look like on the edge here isn't what they always look like, and when you color it in, they're always darker or lighter. Actually, they're lighter, I think, than what they really are. So what I did was, and I'll show you in just a minute, I did a palette of my own where I colored in with the pencils on little squares, and then I drew the squares, and then I, hold on, let me see what's going on with this. Okay. And then I used water and used the watercolor, so that way I knew what these colors looked like. That's how I decided what I was doing. Like here, let me get the palette. Okay, so this is the palette that I just made. I did it on a canvas. You can see it's because it's watercolor canvas, and I colored each one of these on, each color that I have in that box, and then I used watercolor. So now, and I put the numbers, so now when I say, oh, I want a dark brown, I can look at this and say, oh, I like that brown. And then I look up that number and what kind it is. These are intense, graphic watercolor. So then I know what pencils to use. Because just looking at the pencils, it's really hard to tell what you want to do. Okay, so I'm almost done penciling in this stuff here. This is her under her tongue kind of thing going on. Okay. I might leave that color. I don't think I'll do any darker than what I did before on the teeth. Okay, I think that's good. Now again, I'm going to get my paintbrush and get it wet. Blot it a little because I don't want it too wet, just want it kind of damp. And I'm going to mix the water with what I've got here. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. For one thing, I'm going to also, watercolor is supposed to be loose, but also I'm going to use colored pencils if I don't really like the shape or the color. But I'm starting out with what I think I want it to be. And then less pencils is better. I like the flow of the watercolor. Okay, let's do this a little bit darker up here. Blend it in so there's not a definite line. Well, there's a line where the hair is. Make that a little darker. This is just her forehead. And it is weird to paint just a little bit of Aria's skin since she has a white makeup on to look like a zombie. A little bit of a different technique. Okay. Okay, I'm liking that. All right, now we're going to do the neck. It's a little dark, so I might get water and tone that down. I don't know that I want the shadow that bright. Well, for one thing, it fades out down here. So I'm going to add more water down here. So if you can see the shadow, it kind of blends away. Okay, now I'm going to add water to this. Oops, I think I'm going to turn it so you can see. Sometimes it's better if you get your brush and you work at the edge and work away from it. Let the water flow out like that. This is a lot darker than what the photo is, but I'm okay with that. Okay, now that was a really rough edge. I'm getting some water on my brush, not a lot, just a little. I'm kind of blotting it. I'm going to smooth this out because I want it to look very natural. I don't want any weird lines going on. I think that looks pretty soft. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I went over the collar. It doesn't matter because that collar is going to be a darker color. And I can, let me send this again. It's kind of a darker color here on the collar, so it won't matter. All right, now I'm going to do inside the mouth. I'm doing the lighter area first so I don't get too much on my brush and get it too dark. Don't have a lot of water because I want to just keep this dark color. Okay, I'm almost done with this area and this color. And I think I'm going to be done with the flesh area. What I'm going to do next is the shadows on the on her face and eyes, the rest of her face that's white, because it's obviously it's not just white, it's gray everywhere. So I think that's what I'll do next. Okay, I'm going to leave that there for now. All right, so now again, I'm going to have to let that dry, and we'll start on the rest of her face. Not the bright colors, but just the grays that are in here that shows her cheeks and everything. So I'm going to pause it. Okay, I'm back, and I'm sorry the camera, I didn't realize the camera that's recording my face got knocked, so hopefully you see me good and everything now. It's not totally dry, but what I'm going to do is start on the next of coloring the pencil. I just won't add water yet. So the color on this one is, it's warm gray 19, and it's Derwent Graphitant. So it's just kind of a gray color. I'm going to try to be real light with it because I don't want black right at this point. So I'm just going to color in where I see the gray shading and where the dark gray is. So it's like shaded under here, under her hairline. It makes her hair look like it's has depth to it. Okay, and it looks like, I guess there should be gray here. All right, and here, this makes it look like she's angry. And it looks like there's kind of gray, a little bit gray here, mainly from the shadows, not that it was painted on her face, but just the shadows of her face from the white. And same thing here. There's some depth to it. So I'm just so trying to stay light with this because I don't want much gray on it. But I want enough that it looks like there's depth and dimension in her face. Now, there is more of a darker line here. I'm trying to decide how to go about doing this. I guess I'll go ahead and do just a line. I might use a smaller paintbrush to do around here, because I want to get that real accurate where her eye is. But it's very gray in here, and the gray comes out that she had painted on her face. And it's very light gray here, but darker gray here. I also have a darker gray I'm going to use more, but we're going to, like I said, we start out light and work our way up. Okay. Let's see, there's some gray here. And under her eyes. There's also gray here. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use a tiny brush for this. Gray here at her eye. Gray here. I'm going to leave her eye for now, although it does look like a really light line there. And all of this is gray on this side of her eye. And it's a bit of a darker gray, because it's where she used some gray makeup to look like the zombie. Okay, so I'm leaving this not gray because it's going to be pink. Looks like there's a little bit of gray in it, but I think I'd rather do pink first and then gray. This comes up here, and it comes around here, and kind of a line there. This is another little pink thing here, and all of this is gray. A lot of times I start with the eyes first, but I thought it'd be better just to go ahead and do her skin, make it look right, because it's kind of a challenge. The eye will be easy once we get all this done. Okay, so looks like it's really light gray right here. Okay, and then she's got her line of her cheek and her mouth is. And her nose, the actual real nose, has a line right here. And it is gray under here. I'm going to go ahead and do this, even though I'll go make it darker later. Give me a guideline to go. Gray here, here. Okay, so it is a little gray here because her lips are rounded, a little bit darker up here, and there's really light gray here, and then where her real nostril comes out here, make a line there. I've kind of lost my guideline, but I can see where I need to be. Okay, so all of this is under her nose, so it's kind of a light gray, a little darker here, and lighter here, a little bit darker here where her lip is rounded, lighter here. So I'm just using these colored pencils, watercolor pencils, like I use regular pencils, shaded in, but I'm kind of staying really light. I don't want it too dark, because her face isn't really gray, it's more white, but there's just kind of a gray tinge to it. Okay, let's get some more gray over here. In fact, by the time I finish shading this, it'll probably be dry enough for me to go ahead and start using the watercolor. Now it looks like it's kind of gray here. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of gray don't want too much. And her chin, it's a little gray under her lip, and then since it's round, it'll be gray at the bottom. Okay. Now let's do her nose shape. I think that's all I'm going to do for now with that. Okay, so there's really light gray right here. And I can always come back and do more if I need to. I don't know if you hear that, but my dog has had some problems lately with coughing and sneezing. It's like he has a head cold. So if you hear something weird going on, that's what that is. Okay. Okay. This is almost black here, but I'm just going to do the same shading. We'll darken it eventually when we get there. It's very dark, so the hair shadowing it. Okay, and it's very dark here. That's where all her makeup is. Okay. Some more gray here. I'm sure you can kind of tell it's kind of looking like the photo. Okay, so this green, there's a little green thing here. And the rest of this is gray. I'm sorry if I'm losing track of what I'm saying. I'm really concentrating on getting this filled in right. I'm kind of, I don't know if you notice, I'm trying to go in the direction of like her skin and little circles too. I'm trying not to make the lines go in all different directions, but it doesn't actually matter. Like I said, when you add the water, it just kind of blends it all together. Okay. I'm debating whether I want to put any gray here or just leave it white. I think I'll leave it white because I can add gray later. Okay, so now I do think it is dry enough that I can add my water. And it makes me a little nervous because I really want her skin to look smooth and nice. I lost my paper towel. I had to grab it. I think it dropped. Okay. Now, let's start at the top of the head and work our way down. Okay. So, and I do like to work from left to right. I'm going to try not to pick up any of that flesh color. Although that looks kind of like flesh. Let me get some clean water here. Okay. I don't have really good lighting in here right now, because when I do, then it makes it too bright on the cameras. I can't see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, that's definitely gray, not flesh. Okay, good. Okay. So I definitely want gray, not peach. She has all that makeup on. Okay. Since it is wild makeup, it doesn't have to be extremely smooth, but I do want you to be able to see her face features, like where her eyelid comes out, and I'm trying not to get too much of this color on other things. Okay. They do have white paint, but it's really better to leave the paper white and just use the white paint as an emergency touch-up kind of thing. Or like if you're wanting to add pupils, if you didn't get that good, you can use the Gouache watercolor white because it's opaque, and fill in some white areas that you want to bring out more. Okay. This is kind of rough looking, but her paint is kind of rough looking, so I think that's okay. All right, let's do this side of her face. Okay. I'm going to kind of leave that eyelid white because I don't think she had any paint there, any makeup. Okay. I think I just bumped the camera. Yeah, it's shaking. Sorry about that. My head hit it. Okay. And I am going to add darker gray, but I'm kind of liking the way that's looking. I don't think I'll need to do too much of the darker gray, because this is looking about the shade that she is. So that's good. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit there. Okay. There's blood down here, so I'll do that a little bit more later. Work on that later. Just trying to kind of keep it smooth here because there's not definite lines here because she didn't have makeup down here. This is just the shadows of her white face paint, so I don't want it. I don't want to look choppy over here. So I'm kind of adding a little more water to let it flow nicer. Okay. I'm going to definitely add some darker gray on these cheeks. Kind of a line there. I didn't want some kind of going over it with water. Her cheek just slowly gets white. It's not a line from gray to white. Let's smooth that out. There's a line there, but that's okay. I'm going to add some other gray, so it'll probably be okay. It won't be too critical. Okay. There's some gray down here. Gray at her chin line. I don't want that to be a line. Sometimes lines are okay, sometimes they're not. I don't want them right now. Okay, I think I might be happy with that. Yeah, I want to smooth that out a little. You can smooth it out to a point and then it will dry. You're not going to be able to do it. But I think that's pretty good. Okay, now I am going to let that dry because the darker gray I'm going to do on top of it, it's going to be on top of it, so I need to let that totally dry before I even get my pencils out. So I'm just going to pause it here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. It didn't take too long for that to dry. So now I'm using the Derwent Graphitent Midnight Black number 20. So it's almost like the same color I just did, just a shade darker. And I'm going to go back where there's black and where it's a little bit darker gray. So where there's black, I'm kind of mashing down, getting a lot of the lead on there. And I will use a thin brush for this. I didn't earlier, but I'm going to for this. So I want that to be pretty exact. Okay. And then a little lighter touch where I'm coloring it in, because I want it to be a little darker here. I'm not going to color the whole thing because I can make the water bring it up. A little darker here. And that's a little darker here. And add a little darkness in here, here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do there. Oops, I just knocked the camera again. Sorry about that. Get my head involved and then I don't know what I'm doing. Just making a mess. Just really thick eyelashes here, very pretty. Make sure I make those stand out. It's almost black in here. Very dark. And I'm going to use colored pencils later, so that will really touch it up. But if we can do as much as we can with watercolor, it just looks really nice. Looks more natural. Although I do like using mixed medias, because then I can play with it more and get more depth. Okay, let's see. All right, that made that darker. That's nice. All right, let's do the nostrils really dark. It's kind of shadowy dark here under her nose. Okay, there's a little bit of darker here. It's a little bit darker on this side of her cheek. I'll put that in. I don't want it too much, but enough that really makes her look three-dimensional. I want it to almost look like it's a photograph. Better than a photograph, but close to a photograph. Okay, it looks like it's darker on the cheek. I think she had painted in some cheekbones here. And there is something kind of gray going on here. I'll go ahead and do that. I don't know what that is, but I like it. A little bit darker under here. And I'm going to do some dark gray in her mouth now. And then later we'll do some kind of reddish pink. I think we'll do this right now. Get that darker color. So it is almost black. In fact, this is a little bit darker here, so we'll just make that darker. Of course, it's dark there, darker around her tongue, dark line going on here, dark right where her teeth line is. That's why I wasn't too worried about the pencil line being there, because we're adding a lot of darkness in here. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Now, did I miss anything? Let's see. I think I'll be happy with that. I guess it's a little darker right here on her eye. A little darker here. Oh, I don't know if I did the eyelid here. Let's do that. That looks darker. Okay. All right, let's start watercoloring that in. I'll get a fine one in just a minute. Okay, now let's add water. Okay, and then need some more water. So I'm going to blend that in a little more. I don't want some harsh lines. I do want a line, but not really a harsh one. Okay. I don't want a line there for sure. Okay. I'm almost erasing this. I'm trying not to do that. I don't want lines there. I think I'll just leave it at that. I think that's good. Okay, now I'm going to darken those, get the water on that. I kind of like that darker. Kristen, my daughter, is very talented at doing this makeup. Usually she does like false teeth and all kinds of scary things when we do our zombie crawls. I don't think I'd add dark gray over here. I should have. Oh well. All right, let's color that in. That's really dark. It's a little bit lighter. We will leave that. Okay, now I said I'd get a smaller one, but I'm getting lazy. I think I'll just use this brush. I'm just wanting it wet. I'm not wanting to move it anywhere. I just want it wet. Okay, this one I do want to move this up. Kind of blend that in. Blend this in a little bit. This in a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact. Okay. No, I bumped the camera again. You don't pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay. I think that's okay. Now let's let's paint in this little mark and paint in under her lips. And watercolor isn't an exact science anyways, so mistakes are okay. All right, now I'm going to get this wet to make that darker. I don't see a big difference though. Might have to do just black. Kind of looking the same. I guess it's a little darker. Yeah, I might have to. I guess that's okay for now. That looks fleshy in there. Okay. I think we'll let that dry just a little bit. And then I'll do her. Actually, we'll stop the video here because I hate to go longer than 30 or 40 minutes. So I think we'll stop it here and we'll do part 2 next time. So this is part 1 of Watercolor Clown. So hope you watch my next video when I get it done. Thanks. Bye.